Argentinian football icon star Diego Armando Maradona passed away after a heart stroke. Popular mobilizations in Chile continue this Wednesday in rejection of President Sebastián Piñera's policies. Thailand police summoned 12 pro-democracy protest leaders to answer charges of royal defamation. Azerbaijan said Wednesday its forces had entered the second of 3 districts to be handed back by Armenia. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm GLADYS QUESADA. And we start the news with the sad news for all the football legend and all the football followers. The football legend Diego Armando Maradona passed away this Wednesday. Diego Armando Maradona suffered a heart stroke in his house in Tigre, where he was settled after his head surgery. It's an emotional and national news, a blow that echoes all over the world. Maradona's passing marks a milestone in history. The sentence that had been written several times but had been dribbled by fate is now part of the sad reality. Diego Armando Maradona has passed away. And we continue our agenda. Popular mobilizations in Chile continue this Wednesday in rejection of President Sebastián Piñera's policies. Various social and trade organizations support the repudiation of the actions of Piñera's government, which seeks to stop the second withdrawal of 10% of the pension funds. The popular movement denounces that the intention of the executive is to avoid the approval of the measure that threatens low-income families and that are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In parallel, health workers continue the national strike indefinitely, protesting the executive's disregard for their demands. Ecuador's Interior Minister, Maria Paula Romo, has been impeached by the country's National Assembly for her responsibility in the police repression against thousands of citizens during widespread protests in October 2019. 104 lawmakers voted in favor of the impeachment, 18 voted against, and there were 12 abstentions. Romo was accused of allowing the use of expired tear gas canisters by police and authorizing their excessive use of force against demonstrators who took to the streets of the capital, Quito, for 11 consecutive days in October 2019 to protest against the increase in fuel prices and other economic policies that President Lenín Moreno's administration was attempting to implement in order to secure a loan from the International Monetary Fund. Data from the Office of the Ombudsman of Ecuador has revealed that the excessive use of police force caused at least 11 deaths, while over 1,300 people were injured and over 1,000 detained. In Bolivia, the Departmental Prosecutor's Office of Cochabamba ordered the arrest of the military commander for his alleged links to the Huilayani massacre in 2019. The prosecutor's office ordered the arrest of the departmental commander of the Army's Strategic Operations Command, Alfredo Cuellar, for the crime of murder. Cuellar was investigated for his participation in the killings of at least 10 people at the Huilayani Bridge in Sacaba as security forces violently repressed demonstrators who mobilized against the coup that was undertaken against former President Evo Morales in November 2019. Investigations revealed that the groups of military personnel fired chemical agents and projectiles at demonstrators. The commander's lawyer, Edwin Paredes, claimed that Cuellar had only exercised administrative functions. And protests continue in Guatemala as diverse sectors mobilize to demand the resignation of President Alejandro Giammattei. Workers, student movements and civil society organizations held protests in various parts of the country to demand the president's resignation following Congress approval of the budget for 2021, which foresees cuts to spending on health, education and human rights, and an increase in public debt, which demonstrators stress is unsustainable. Meanwhile, indigenous community representatives gathered in the central plaza of the capital to support the demands voiced by social movements and organizations. On Monday, the Congress announced it was suspending the final ratification process for the budget in the face of a widespread protest.
The others in calling for the resignation of the entire executive branch, not only of the president, but also of the ministers, because they are all the same. If the president does not take us into account, then I believe that we will act so the population has its say. Last Saturday's demonstration was a clear message to the political class that they cannot continue to take decisions against the interest of the majority. It is worth nothing that, unfortunately, it broke out of the control of the security forces and many people were repressed.
After many rounds in which he delegated the decision to the Health Policies Cabinet technical team, President Luis Abinader yesterday asked the National Congress for the third extension of the state of emergency. The request, deposited in the Chamber of Deputies, could be known this Thursday when this legislative body is in session. The ruling Modern Revolutionary Party and its allies have a majority. This new extension supports the bloc of deputies of the Dominican Liberation Party, which retains the second majority in that chamber. This December the 3rd, the current state of emergency expires, approved by the National Congress for 45 days, and President Abinader was due to present the request this week to extend it. In case it is approved in the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate, the Dominicans will live under a state of emergency until 2021. The Ministry of Energy, Small Business and Entrepreneurs heaps on cost of enacting comprehensive methodology regulations to repeal the existing Weights and Measures Acts, replacing it with a new Barbados National Metrology Bill. Minister of Energy, Kerry Simons, said the new legislation is an important step to modernizing the economy and enhancing the island's export potential. He told the forum that the new bill will pave the way for accurate measurements throughout and across all sectors, all industries and across all forms of endeavor in Barbados in order to increase capacity with regards to international trade. The Energy Minister noted that recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic was key and international strategy must be crafted with a view to building vibrant trade facilitation within the economy and then having the capacity to enhance Barbados' international competitiveness across the global markets. And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Thai police summoned 12 pro-democracy protest leaders to answer charges of royal defamation, the first use of the draconian law in almost 3 years, as Bangkok gears up for another major rally. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha last week gave the green light for authorities to lay lèse-majesté charges, which bear any criticism of the royal family against demonstrators who could now face up to 15 years in prison. Thailand has for months been rocked by youth-led protests demanding a new constitution, reform of the untouchable monarchy, and for Prayut to resign. Tensions in the Thai capital are rising. Officers deployed water cannon and tear gas at a rally outside Parliament last week, with 55 people injured and 6 shot in scuffles with royalists. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, warned Wednesday any post-Brexit trade deal must not undermine the EU's single market. Von der Leyen said to the European Parliament that they will work tirelessly to reach an agreement, but warned that Britain must agree to fair trade rules. The President of the European Commission also said that they will not put into question the integrity of the single market, the main safeguard for European prosperity and wealth. Von der Leyen also stated that Britain will not enjoy the benefits of EU membership from the outside.
The crucial topics for the European side are, of course, questions linked to the level playing field, the governance and fisheries. And with very little time ahead of us, we will do all in our power to reach an agreement. We're ready to be creative, but we are not ready to put into question the integrity of the single.
A car crashed into the front gate of the building housing German Chancellor Angela Merkel's offices on Wednesday in the morning also, but the incident appeared to have caused little damage, Berlin police said.
This morning, around 10 a.m., a 54-year-old man drove into the gate of the Chancellery, according to current information. He drove at a very low speed, causing only minor damage to the gate and the vehicle. The people in the building, including the Chancellor, were safe at all times. There was no danger. The motivation, whether it was psychologically triggered or a different cause, is subject of the investigation.
On Wednesday, China criticized India after it banned another group of Chinese apps for alleged national security reasons, saying it should immediately address these discriminative methods.
The relevant methods clearly violate market principles and WTO guidelines and severely harm Chinese companies' legal rights and interests. China firmly opposes this. According to market principles, the Indian government has a responsibility to uphold international investors' legal rights, including Chinese companies. The nature of China-India economic cooperation is mutual benefit and mutual wins. India should immediately redress these discriminative methods to avoid bringing further damage to bilateral cooperation.
The Chinese Foreign Minister's spokesperson also said the UK's new law banning Huawei from its 5G mobile networks has no solid evidence.
Without any solid evidence and using the pretext of trumped-up risks, the UK has time and time again cooperated with the US to discriminate against and oppress Chinese firms. This clearly violates the principles of the market economy and free trade guidelines, and severely harms Chinese companies' legitimate rights and interests. This continues to impact the foundation of mutual trust on which China-UK cooperation is based, against the backdrop the UK market's openness and fairness and the safety of foreign investors in the UK is cause for great concern.
China and Japan have agreed to establish a fast-track lane for essential personnel exchanges by the end of November to further promote the presumption of work and production cooperation, said Foreign Minister spokesperson Zhao Lijian at a press briefing in Beijing on Wednesday. The decision was made during State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi's official visit to Japan on Tuesday.
This is a positive step taken by the two countries to promote bilateral personnel exchange and support resumption of work and production in the context of the routinized epidemic prevention and control, as agreed by the two sides after the consultation. The fast track between China and Japan will be officially launched on November 30th.
The governor of Tokyo on Wednesday, urged restaurants serving alcohol, bars and karaoke parlors to reduce their business hours in a bid to contain a surge in new COVID-19 infections in the capital. Yuriko Koike said at a press conference that these establishments will be urged to close at 10 p.m. for 20 days, starting Saturday until December 17, and announced that the authorities will offer financial assistance of up to 400,000 yen to those who do so. And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Azerbaijan said Wednesday its forces had entered the second of the 3 districts to be handed back by Armenia as part of a deal that ended weeks of fighting over the Nagorno-Karabakh region. Wedged between the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region and the territory of Armenia, Kalbajar was initially scheduled for handover on November 15, but the deadline was postponed by Azerbaijan for humanitarian reasons. Armenia agreed to hand over 3 districts around Karabakh, Akdam, Kalbajar and Lachin as part of the deal that stopped an Azerbaijan offensive that had reclaimed swathes of territory lost to Armenian separatists in the 1990s war. Akdam was ceded on November 20th and Lachin is to be handed over by December the 1st. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev criticized Wednesday Armenians for burning forests to create an environmental catastrophe.
Look at the ugly things they have been doing in recent days, burning forests to create an environmental catastrophe. These thieves cut down forests and take them to Armenia for sale. They burned down houses they did not build. They burned down schools and killed pets they can take with them. See who we were facing, what savages we were facing, and I will say this every time that our country is not only a victory of the Armenian state, we have also destroyed Armenian fascism.
On Wednesday, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani called on U.S. President-elect Joe Biden to open a new page with Iran by returning to the situation that prevailed before Donald Trump's administration.
The policy of the government of the Islamic Republic is honoring commitments in return for honoring commitments, acts in return for acts, reduction of tension in return for reduction of tension, respect in return for respect. If there is such a will among the future U.S. leaders, I think it will be very easy to solve the problem. Both Iran and the United States can decide and announce that they will return to the situation that prevailed before January 20, 2017, when Trump took the oath of office as a U.S. president. This can solve many problems and completely change the course of events and the situation.
Ethiopians from the Tigray region living in South Africa protest outside the Department of International Relations and Cooperation in Pretoria to demand the immediate end of the ongoing conflict. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed on Wednesday said he rejected international interference in Ethiopia's affairs, hours before a deadline for Tigray's rebel leaders to surrender or face an assault on their capital. Abiy, the winner of last year's Nobel Prize, late Sunday gave the Tigray People's Liberation Front 72 hours to surrender. As the clock ticked down, the UN Security Council held its first meeting on the 3-week-old crisis, with particular concern for the civilians in the regional capital Mekelle. Ethiopian forces say they are encircling the city with tanks ahead of an assault on the TPLF and have urged its 500,000 residents to leave.
There is no internet, there is no electricity, everything is blocked. My family is living there and I don't know nothing about what's happening, whether they are dying or they are still alive. We just hear that they are bombing there. So you can imagine how stressed and worried we are. We have no idea what's happening. We just hear from Ethiopian government because he's always informing we are bombing this, we are bombing that, we are controlling this, we are controlling that. So we are in such pain right now.
The new leader of Ethiopia and Abiy Ahmed is the killer. You don't deserve a Nobel for that guy. Never. He's bombing our people. He's not.
Football legend Diego Armando Maradona has passed away this Wednesday. Diego Armando Maradona suffered a heart stroke in his house in Tigray, where he was settled after his head surgery. It's an emotional and national news, a blow that echoes all over the world. Maradona's passing marks a milestone in history. The sentence that had been written several times but had been dribbled by fate is now part of the sad reality. Diego Armando Maradona has passed away. Maradona, regarded as one of the greatest footballers of all times, helped Argentina win the World Cup 1986, the pinnacle of a illustrious career. He played club football for Boca Juniors, Napoli and Barcelona, among others, and was adored by millions all over the world for his brilliant skills. Maradona was responsible for the infamous Hand of God goal and the goal of the century, the latter regarded as one of the best goals ever scored, but against England in the 1986 World Cup. The sad news was confirmed by Maradona's lawyer. Soon after, tributes began to pour in from all over the world and football. And we conclude this emission of From the South, commemorating Cuban and Latin American leader Fidel Castro in occasion of another anniversary of his physical loss. Just remember, you can find these more stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and also follow us in social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For TeleSUR English, I'm GLADYS QUESADA. Thank you for watching.
Dicen que en la plaza en estos días se les ha visto cabalgar a Camilo y a Martí, y delante de la caravana, lentamente sin jinete, un caballo para ti.
Vuelven las heridas que nos sanan de los hombres y mujeres que no te dejaremos ir. Hoy el corazón nos late afuera y tu pueblo, aunque le duela, no te quiere despedir.
Hombre, los agradecidos te acompañan. Como anhelaremos tus hazañas, ni la muerte cree que se apoderó de ti. Hombre, aprendimos a saberte eterno, así como lo vi Jesucristo. No hay un solo altar sin una luz por ti.